This issue isn't theoretical for me or my constituents. I grew up just a few miles north of the Salton Sea and spent years working in a hospital where I treated children with asthma and other pulmonary conditions indicative of long-term exposure to particulate matter. I understand firsthand what the dying Salton Sea means to my constituents and how it has ramifications for public health, the economy, and the ecosystem as a whole. Today's hearing is the first congressional hearing on this issue since 1997. And which means that 23 years ago, Congress sought the need to address the federal role at the sea, and yet today we find ourselves on the verge of a crisis. And I'm committed to making change. And I'm urging everyone here to commit with me and Representative Vargas to making change at the Salton Sea. When I arrived in Congress, there was no Salton Sea management plan. There were no projects and there was no money. In 2015, we broke ground at the Red Hill Bay with the federal agencies also co-partnering and leading this effort. In 2016, I helped broker that MOU between California and the Department of Interior to bring more federal resources to the sea. And in 2017, the California released its 10-year plan under that Salton Sea Management Plan. And each year, I have secured appropriation language and funding to push this administration to get more involved. So we are building momentum. In 2018, Senator Feinstein and I expanded programs in the Farm Bill so Salton Sea projects could compete for millions of dollars of funding. In 2019, Secretary Crowfoot joined me at the Salton Sea for a roundtable discussion with the community. Earlier this year, Energy and Water Appropriations Committee Chair Marcy Kaptur joined me at the Salton Sea for a tour and a meeting with our federal and state partners. And now today, we are holding the first congressional hearing on the Salton Sea in over 20 years. The House of Representatives and these committees are doing our jobs, but we must get the same level of commitment from this administration and its agencies to use their authority to make a difference for my constituents. My patience is running thin. I have called for an all hands on deck approach to break ground, expedite and complete projects at the Salton Sea, and that must include the administration. The federal government owns half of the land at the Salton Sea and has a significant role in managing that land. They cannot sit on the sideline and leave my constituents high and dry while the shoreline disappears in front of their eyes. In their fiscal year 21 budget request, the Bureau of Reclamation acknowledged a future obligation under the Clean Air Act of over $300 million. Yet they have presented no plan, no funding request, and show no sense of urgency to do anything about it. It is this lack of action that precisely demonstrates the need for federal legislation to create resources and prioritize and expedite projects. So my draft legislation, the Salton Sea Public Health and Environmental Protection Act, would require the Department of Interior to work with California to rapidly increase the amount of land covered by mitigation and dust suppression projects, increase coordination between agencies to identify funding, streamline permitting, and expedite new projects, and require EPA to regularly report on air quality so we can better mitigate and respond to the public health risks in the region.